Hey Ringside crew, welcome to the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. And now here's your host, Joe, Panther the
Hello there, wrestling fans, to another episode of the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. I am Joe Panther the Third, and we want to. October is here. The pumpkins are out. The parents are going crazy buying candy. Welcome to Spooky Wrestling Month. I have an individual that is giggling down the trail as he lights it behind him. Introduce yourself to my internationally known audience.
I am the barker of the bazaar, Rika Wildlee, the leader of the faction of family affiliated, and I, sir, appreciate you for allowing me to grace your screens and your international fans.
Awesome. So let's go back to your beginnings, the origin, as I would call it, to the career of yourself. So, what made you get into professional wrestling?
Well, honestly, I've been a wrestling fan, as we always are, as we all are, from the age of about 8 years old. I was super into it. I just kind of found something I was really passionate about, and could watch week to week, and become captivated by. And years went on, and as I got into my teenage years on into adulthood, I thought about going and trying to become a wrestler, but I ended up having a kid at 17 years old, which kind of stopped that from happening for a while. And at the age of 30, I started training at the local wrestling academy that opened up right as COVID was going on, and got my license, got my certificate, went through, graduated, done the whole thing, and have been hitting the roads ever since.
Awesome. Do you remember the original idea? Did you come up with this awesome idea for or what the coach did? Was any help from your coach, or just everything
No.
for yourself?
Okay, so 2 years prior to going to the wrestling stuff, I was doing, and I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but like online promo groups, like eFeds.
Yeah.
I was doing the Rika character in an eFed group. It was all promos. There was no real wrestling involved, no physical actual wrestling. It was all just shit talking, right? It's all just trash, talk. And as that was going on, and I'd already won some titles in the eFed world and all that kind of stuff. When I finally joined the academy, the UWE, United Wrestling Entertainment Wrestling Academy of Louisiana. When I joined them, and we were the first class, me and 4 other gentlemen were the first class to go through. But once I went through there, I showed up the first day in the mask because I already had the gimmick. Now, it didn't have all the lights and everything. It was just the glow-in-the-dark mask. But that came in time. But it all started with the eFed stuff. They really enjoyed the gimmick. They really enjoyed the whole barker of the bazaar. I'm a carnival barker, that whole gimmick, that whole build of the character. And I was like, well, if they're enjoying it online, I don't see why the actual wrestling world wouldn't enjoy it just as much.
Did you said a glow in the dark mask? Because I see the mask, and was there
Yes,
ever a thought of a different style tossed into a tribute to Doink or anything like that?
And see, that's the thing, man, is the mask. I've been labeled as a clown every single time I've been booked. They see the clown mask and they go, oh, he's a clown. I literally do no clowny anything. I don't do any kind of gestures. I don't do any kind of clowny nothing other than maybe a laugh here and there. I don't do the real clowny style stuff, strictly because I don't want to be stuck in that box, of only being able to do clowny stuff. That's why instead of Rika the Clown, I'm the barker. I'm the carnival barker. I'm the guy that says, come on, come all, step right up. See the wonderful, weird, and odd things that we have here to offer. Let me entertain you. You know, I'm that guy. And and plus, you know, with this whole gimmick being built into the wrestling world, I'm a walking, talking history lesson. So I get to show the wrestling fans of nowadays that the entertainment, the characters, the outlandish storylines, the, you know, pizzazz of this entire wrestling world all started here at the carnival. It all started right here. You know, so I get to teach along with perform and entertain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that like amazing how that it's sad too that wrestling fans immediately stereotype that you as a clown, and you're not a clown. You're more like a ringmaster. You're like the ringmaster because you got the
Yeah, I
top
mean,
hat. Yeah, you know what I mean?
basically, I mean, I'm the guy that stands up at the podium and tells you exactly what to expect, what's what's happening, more or less the announcer of the carnival style, you know. And I am the barker of the freak show. And even though my stable, we all look like a bunch of heels, but the fact is we're faces. We're good guys. We're out there to tell the masses that it's okay to look weird. It's okay to be bizarre. It's okay to be odd. Everyone's got flaws. Everyone's got issues, this, that, and the other. But you have to embrace them. Show the world that not to stereotype, not to judge a book by its cover. You know, just because we look scary does not mean we are scary. There's real evil in this world. There's real bad people that look like everyday Joes, that look like they never mess up and have the perfect little life and all that, but behind closed doors, they're real monsters. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So just because we look scary and we look odd, most promoters immediately jump to, oh, they're a heel faction. Oh, they're a bunch of, monsters and this, that, and the other. And that is beyond far from the case.
Yeah, I find that messed up when sometimes promoters try to promote you and your stable as bad guys. Do you ever get the crowd to like immediately boo you, but then see that you're not? They immediately they take your side. Okay.
We've been booed. We've been booed one time, and it was only for about a quarter of the match. As soon as they seen us start working, they were chanting family. Family, family, family. And no matter how scary and odd we look, the kids dig us. You know, they like the fact, and I'm going to use this as an example here. About 2 shows ago, there was this kid. His parents walked up and we were selling merch during intermission. Me and my one of my brothers, Gluttony, we were selling merch, and this kid is nonverbal. He's autistic and he doesn't really speak. He don't like people. He's very nervous, and all that kind of stuff. And he walked up to me and Gluttony and was holding full conversations, never second guessed it. He doesn't talk to normal people that look normal, I guess you would say, but he come up and talking to me and Gluttony, shook our hand, gave us a hug, took some pictures, all that kind of stuff. And it's just because I don't know if he felt comfortable because we look so odd, but it was a beautiful thing, man.
It's amazing. So let's go into the whole the look. Have you changed it over time?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like your outfits, those stuff you wear, because I see the lights around your hood. What was the first version of your outfit? Do you remember?
The very first version was just the green and purple clown mask. That's been since day one. Then there was a black and white top hat with a black vest type shirt with a hood on it. It was very basic when I first started the promo stuff, but there's been like 25 different versions of the character that has evolved over the last 5 years. Actually 2019. So about six and a half years, including the promo stuff.
Oh wow.
But I mean,
But
I make all my own gear. The only thing I didn't make was my mask and my boots. Everything else I've made myself. I do my own graphics. I do my own videos. I do my own gear. I do everything in house. And I probably made, since wrestling and performing in the ring, I probably made 7 or 8 different jackets.
wow, that's awesome that you like, except for the mask, the other stuff it came from your fingers, the blood
Yep.
and sweat and tears. That's one thing I love about independent wrestling, because people have asked me that I work with, what's your favorite part about doing stuff with independent wrestling? Sometimes you see the male and female wrestlers that make their gear, and you could tell that they put their heart into it. Like you may not see the blood stain on the the jacket, but you know that's there in their mind. They have
Right.
their fingerprint when they were sewing the edge of the jacket. Oof, pricked themselves, and they
Right.
wiped the finger. Blood got on it. You can't see it, but it's in their mind. It's a
I couldn't
creative
sew.
process.
I couldn't sew when I first started doing this. I'd never sewn really anything. And I was like, you know what? I walked into a lot of different locker rooms, and this is even before all the lights. I walked into the locker room and I seen so many different people at different shows that had the same gear. They were just different colors, same pants or same boots or same whatever. And before the lights, the company I was working for, the original company, the UWE, they had the nice big entranceway and, with all the spotlights and the fog machine and that whole deal. And it really spoiled me. It did. Because when I branched out and started getting bookings elsewhere, a lot of the little smaller companies I was going to, all they had was a ring and a curtain. There was no real entranceway. There was no spectacle, pizzazz. There was none of that. So, and it really kind of brought down my vibe, my hypeness, I guess you would say. And so I was like, you know what? Instead of worrying about what every single company has, as far as an entrance and all that kind of stuff, instead of worrying about their lights and their fog machine and all that stuff, I'll just become the lights.
Awesome.
I'll just bring the lights with me.
Is there any wrestlers that you've been looking to wrestle that you have not had a chance to work with yet?
Yes, Sam Stackhouse. That's the guy. That's the next one on my list.
Sam Stackhouse. So
Yeah.
tonight here on Dudes at Ringside, if he's watching this episode, I would like to have you talk to the camera and tell him to find you.
Well, me and Sam haven't really had any one-on-ones, haven't had any real face-to-face time, but Sam knows that as the carnival comes to your town and the bright lights beat on your front door, it's time that when the barker makes his way down the ramp and that theme music hits and Sam Stackhouse is waiting in the ring, that there is one thing and one thing only that is inevitable, and that is you will end up brighter and your career will end up better and your resume will end up bigger after this match is said and done. Because I put many, many, many on the stage and I've brightened each and every one of their careers up. And Sam, you'll be none the different.
Love it. Love it, man. Is there any other places in the country that you want to wrestle or out of the country?
Oh, I'm one of those that I'll take bookings pretty much anywhere if the finances can, cover it for me to get back and forth there. But I've wrestled 9 different states so far. I've wrestled 24 different companies. I've been on 38 different. Matter of fact, this is the 39th podcast I've been on.
Woo, 39.
But I'm all about traveling. I'm all about getting my name as far out there as I possibly can. I've done podcasts internationally. I've been one in Denmark and London and this, that, and the other. But if I could ever work overseas, I think that would be sick. I think that'd be awesome just to be able to put that on the resume, to say I did. I'm not one of those indie guys that is, my main goal is work so hard, I get to WWE and all that. That's not my goal. That's not where I'm at. It's not AEW. It's not TNA. It's not NWA. It's not WWE. My main goal is to build my resume big enough and my credibility big enough that one day I can open my own school and pass the knowledge that I have gained through my travels and my experience on to the next guy. And I can be that door that I had open for me when I first started.
Wow. That's awesome. I know, like, if you ever got a chance to go to Mexico, either going against or teaming up, would you ever try to team up with the carnival, the clowns over there?
Probably not. If I go anywhere solo, I'm gonna stick it solo.
Okay.
I've worked really hard building the family affiliated, and building my crew here, my faction here, and it's getting over everywhere that we go. But if I were to branch out and continue on in another country solo, I would keep it that way. I don't think I'd want to jump back in. I've enjoyed what we're doing with the faction, the family affiliated, and all that, but I don't think I could give the same heart to another faction or another group.
Yeah, that I just asked that question because I know there's different style characters that go in the same bubble as you, but you be the ringmaster. So if they go to attack you, you jump in the top. Why attack me? Don't attack me. And then they turn the other direction so they can't get you. You know what I mean?
That's the thing is like with the family affiliated, all of our characters are polar opposite. Every one of them, none of us are the same. You've got one guy who's an ancient scarecrow. You've got another guy who's basically the Grim Reaper. You've got another guy who's just an outcast from an insane asylum. And you got another one who's basically a battered spouse. I mean, they're all freaks. That's what bonds us together. We're not family by blood. We're family by affiliation. We're all under the same big top. We're all under the same freak show banner. That's what makes us family. Not that our
you guys are faces.
Yes.
People associate themselves with as like oddities, like outsiders. And I sometimes feel like I'm an outsider in the podcast game, but people think that I feel like I'm the outsider of the podcast world because some people don't agree of my interviewing style is less like an interview and more like a hangout. I'm at like a bar. Like
it's better that way, I think sometimes. It doesn't have to be a bunch of give and take questions. It doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah. I totally feel that way too. So now we're gonna go into the fun part of the interview because I love food. I'm trying to cut back, getting a little chubby in my my 40 years on this planet. When it comes to being at a carnival, what is your favorite foods to grab and put in your seats next to you when you're nibbling? Or what is your least favorite food to grab at the carnival?
Depends on what I'm doing at the carnival. If there's a wrestling show at the carnival and I'm performing that night, definitely staying away from the chili dogs. Okay.
Okay.
For good reason. But but funnel cake is always a good go-to. Funnel cake is always that's one that you can just munch on throughout the evening. I want to say popcorn, but I've never really been a big popcorn guy. I'm just not that guy. But funnel cake, maybe some cotton candy here and there. Just kind of whatever they got going. But I just try to stay away from anything that could possibly cause me issues in the middle of a match. If you get my drift.
No chili dogs for you. Remember, fans, don't bring him chili dogs before the show. After his match, when he's at the merch table, then stack them like the 4th of July on a cart with just chili dogs. Now watch. Someone's gonna watch this episode in October, big guy, and the kids are gonna be like, "We watched you on Dudes at Ringside," and they're gonna keep bringing you conga line style hot dogs.
Hey, you know what? And I'll probably end up eating 2 and passing the rest to Gluttony, who's basically a human garbage disposal.
Shout out to Gluttony. Maybe one day you can come on the pod, dude.
Oh, for sure, for sure. That's what I've been doing the last handful of podcasts I've done. Is I've opened the door and done the interview, but eventually, I want to get the whole family on so we can all do a group pod, and I think that would be sick because
Well,
Gluttony
definitely
doesn't
get
really
back to
talk.
me before, like later on after this podcast. We could work on something, and maybe in this month of October, we could have everybody on a group pod, and we'll be live, and we'll just make it a fun thing, and bring it on, and tell all your friends, and just we'll go live and have fun with it.
Yeah, dude, I'm down, and I'll let the guys know. I'll let them know what's up. I think that'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
I love it. So as I chose the promo picture with you with all your gold, how many title belts do you actually have?
3. I have 3 right now that I currently hold. I'm the SWF heavyweight champion. I am the and that's out of Texas, out of Silsbee, Texas. I am the one half of the CCW, the Classic Championship Wrestling Tag Team Champions, out of Fort Smith and Alma, Arkansas. And then I am the one half of the RWE Tag Team Champions, Renegade Wrestling Alliance Entertainment. I'm sorry, Renegade Wrestling Entertainment out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
So
So 3.
who are you tag champions with those other belts?
Eighth and Sorrow, and we're so in the promo stuff, as I mentioned earlier, there was an original family affiliated. That was a group in the promo stuff. Me and Gluttony was part of that originally years before the wrestling, and then as a couple years went into actually performing in the ring and all of that, me and Ethan teamed up, and he's the bigger guy with the long hair over his face and all of that, but me and him teamed up, and I was like, dude, I want to bring back the family affiliated. I want to make this a thing, and he was all for it. We pitched the idea to the promoters and all that kind of stuff, and played it between ourselves, and then we got Gluttony in, and he was our manager for a couple of shows before he actually started performing in the ring and doing matches himself. And Smoke the Reaper, out of Texas, he came and joined, and then it was us 4. And last weekend, I believe, Raina Rose, the Forgotten Flower, made her debut. So now there's 5 of us.
Oh wow, five members.
Yes.
So when it comes to getting booked for a show, does the promoter ever have to reach out to just you to get everybody booked, or do you think, do you ever have a promoter just contact you and then you ask the whole stable if they can make it?
Well, a lot of times it does play that way. They'll reach out to me first because, the way I've got our stuff set up, because I do they do their own promoting on their own social medias and things like that. But as far as me promoting the stable as a whole, I've got all of our stuff lined up under my link website, right? So it's got the family affiliated and all of our links with the group, and then it's got Rika with all of his links, Gluttony with all of his, Smoke with all of his, Ethan with all of his, and so on and so forth. But it's got all of us broke down to where a promoter can find our group stuff or our individual stuff with one click of a button.
Yeah.
It just makes it a lot easier for them. So as I guess you would say, the head of the family affiliated, if they want the whole group or the tag or whatever, they're going to most of the time reach out to me, but it's always open to reach out to whoever and be like, hey, love you guys. Would love to have you at my show. See if everybody's available and we'll work something out.
I find that cool that it's like a family, and you guys really, you have your own characters and own gimmicks, but everything comes together as a whole. When it comes to game day, do you guys travel together in a van, or do you have separate cars and just tailgate?
We actually have 2 separate vehicles, but we do all travel together. We convoy back and forth to the shows, pretty much.
Have you ever thought of trying to get it a Winnie? If you ever think about traveling, and it's
We're in the process. we're in the process of getting a 13 passenger van.
Wow.
Yeah, so we can hook it up family affiliated style and be able to bring our wives and possibly kids and things like that as well, along with gear, and stuff, and be comfortable.
Make it like the road rules. If you know, you know.
Yeah. Hey, I usually travel alone. My wife comes to some of the shows, but for the most part, we just go and link up together. We'll get hotels in the same hotel. We'll go to the same shows. We all chip in money to do like if we're gonna do family affiliated merch, we're gonna all throw a little bit of money in to get the t-shirts, get the decals, we'll get them printed up and all that kind of stuff. So by the time it gets sold, we all split it, or put it back in gas or whatever to cover the travel. Basically, we've tried to make it as fair and as smooth as possible.
Yeah, that's the most important part. And also it could be the rougher part. Like with travel, it could be expensive that everybody has to do their own thing. Or you say you want to get a Winnie, that everybody has to chip in on gas and one person has to chip on meals and snacks.
Well,
So
me and Gluttony have known each other since we were 14 years old. Pretty much since our whole lives, pretty much grew up together. He was one of the first people that I told when I was about to have a kid at 17. Like we're tight as brothers, like legit. And growing up, and for the first couple of years of my wrestling career, he was my merch guy. All he done is made my merch. He'd come to the shows, he'd set up a table, he sold my t-shirts and my posters and all that good stuff. And at the end of the night, we'd split it 3 ways. He would take a cut, I would take a cut, and then the third of it went back into getting more merch. And we done that for 2 or 3 years until he actually got into getting in the ring and brought Gluttony back, as far as the character, and started traveling with me and all of that. And we work together every day. I mean, we work our normal 9 to 5 job. We literally work together every day. So I hang out with this dude pretty much 24/7. He's one of the only people that I talk to on a everyday basis. So
wow.
traveling with him is a blast.
Wow. That's awesome, dude. It's really, really awesome that you found somebody that could be your running buddy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your travel buddy, your beat down buddy when you need to get someone to rough them up when you're practicing. But that's cool. I like
I
that.
mean, I'm the head trainer at the UW Academy right now, and actually Gluttony technically was my first student.
Wow.
When he decided to get into the actual wrestling and start performing as the Gluttony character, he paid our coach Dapper Dan, who was trained by Ivan Putski. He paid him to come through the school and get his license and actually become professionally trained and all of that. And seeing his Dapper Dan was allowing me to step in and coach, Gluttony was technically my first student. And now he's been in a little under a year professionally and has traveled 5 or 6 different states, already won belts and all this kind of stuff.
Wow. So before we go, if any of my fans want to pick up any of your merch, where can they find it?
Well, you can either message me personally. I've got Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat, Twitter. You name it, I got it. If you just Google the name, I'm the only Rika Wildlee out there. I'm the first thing that pops up when you type in Rika Wildlee on Google.
You need to make a Wikipedia.
Well, for $500, you can.
And I didn't realize it was $500 till today.
I tried. Now I've got a Urban Dictionary. I've got a fandom page, and I've got all that kind of stuff. But I tried doing the Wikipedia.
How do you get an Urban Dictionary? Does it cost money too?
No, it don't cost. It's free. You literally put anything on Urban Dictionary. But as far as merch goes, you can message me personally and get something custom, or you can go on ProWrestlingTees.com and search Rika Wildlee, and I've got 40 plus shirt designs
Wow.
that I've made myself. I enjoy making logos and
Cool.
things like that. So I'm constantly coming up with new shirt designs and all that kind of stuff. Everything that you've seen as far as Rika merch goes, I've made pretty much.
Wow. That's cool, dude. That you spend time to make stuff like that. Most people are just like, oh, they have a friend that they know, or they just like, okay, this shirt looks good, we're selling it. We need it, but boom, done.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's
cool.
more personal, and I'm not rich. So I can't, if I can teach myself to do everything in house, that saves me money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My gear, my logos, my video editing, my all of that kind of stuff. If I can do it myself, which I'm going to use the word obsessed as a broad statement. I'm very obsessed with what I do when it comes to the creative aspect of pro wrestling. I love the in-ring stuff, but I love the creativity that you can have outside of the ring just as much. And if I can teach myself how to do it and save a couple of dollars instead of having to reach out and pay somebody else to make my stuff, because I'm already having to buy shirts, I'm already having to buy decals and having that shipped to the house, that's costing me money. I can heat press them myself and press all the shirts myself, but I'm just trying to pinch pennies wherever I can so I can make it to the next show.
Awesome. If we have anybody watching this podcast, like that wanted to get into the wrestling business, like you did, what kind of advice would you have for them?
Simple, and it's this: ears open, mouth shut. We've all seen WWE, we've all seen TNA, we've all seen all these companies. We've watched any wrestling fan or wrestling person that wants to get into the business, majority of the time, is because they fell in love with it from what they see on TV. And I promise you this, from somebody who walked that road, you think you know by watching on TV. But I promise, getting in that ring and understanding what you're doing in that ring, you will never, ever, ever understand until you're put in the position to do so. And that comes from veterans. That comes, don't go into the business. Don't go into an academy or wherever you're going to go get trained thinking that you've got this down pat. All you got to do is show them you can do all this stuff. And you may be agile. You may be young. You may be ready to rock and roll. But the fact is you're never, ever, ever going to learn it all. You're never going to know everything. You're not. There's going to be 1,000 different ways to do 1,000 different things. And if you just open your ears and listen, the wrestling world, the vets, the other people who have been there before you and everything else will teach you everything you need to know as long as you're willing to learn. And that's bottom line.
Awesome. I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Thank you so much for helping me open Spooky Wrestling Month. But yes. I have one more interesting question for you. What is your all-time favorite scary movie?
Ooh, that's a hard one. I love horror, man. Scary movies are my forte when it comes to genres of movies. But I love comedies and scary movies. But I'm gonna have to say one that never gets old, in my opinion, is going to be Nightmare on Elm Street: Dream Warriors.
Ooh. For me, I always have to go back. And everybody thinks this, a lot of people I know, my sister never seen it till I actually showed it to her. My all-time favorite movie, it's kind of a comedy, but it's kind of a horror one, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So
oh, dude, okay. That's a given. That's a given. I love Killer Clowns from
My
Outer Space.
sister did not know about this movie, and I was like, "How?
Oh,
How?"
right. That's a great
Like,
one, man.
yes,
That is a
calls
great one.
herself a scream queen, and she doesn't know Killer Clowns. I was like,
Well, she needs to be educated, is all I'm saying.
"Yep." I do a nerd culture show on the side with my two buddies, Rain and Val. They both be like, "Huh?" Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on the pod. I'm Joe Panther the Third.
And I am the Barker of the Bazaar, Rika Wildlee, and I appreciate you, sir, for allowing me to open up Spooky Wrestling Month.
And we will catch you in the next one.
Later.